You're listening to the Casting for Fun podcast, the show that talks about entertainment, sports, music, and inspirational stories for all to enjoy. We're glad that you could join us today. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Now, here is your host, Albert Pineda.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Casting for Fun podcast. I am your host, Albert Pineda, and this is for Tuesday, January 24th, 2023, for this particular episode. I'm joined again by my good friend, Nathan Wolfe, to geek out about stuff that we love. We have a great conversation about our love of the 1988 classic fantasy adventure film, Willow, starring Warwick Davis and Val Kilmer. And then, of course, we dive into the recently released Disney Plus sequel to that particular movie, long awaited. So we get to talk about that show. We also get to sit down and talk about Weird Al Yankovic and our love for Weird Al, especially the love that Nathan has for Weird Al. And we talk about the biopic that came out last in the fall, starring Daniel Radcliffe taking on the role of Weird Al. And lastly, right now in entertainment, the biggest show has to be The Last of Us on HBO, which is obviously an adaptation of the popular video game, The Last of Us, developed by Naughty Dog. And if you know me and know how long I've been recording the podcast talking about games, the Uncharted video game franchise is my all-time favorite, as is the video game Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, also developed by Naughty Dog. So it's really exciting for me to actually sit down and talk to Nathan about the show based on the video game. Technically, I haven't played The Last of Us. I'm not really a big fan of the survivor horror games, but based on the description Nathan gave me of the game, I definitely think I should check it out, because I know firsthand that Naughty Dog, the writers for that game studio, they're just master storytellers. They can just tell really awesome emotional stories. And of course, the games are just a blast to play. The Uncharted games, all of them are great. So I'm assuming the Last of Us is no exception. And yeah, so it's always great to catch up with Nathan, a good friend of mine, and we have so much in common. Before I get to Nathan, though, I did want to discuss just a few entertainment aspects really quick, because I know we want to try and get to the conversation with Nathan first. The Easy Star All-Stars, who are the musicians from the Easy Star Records, a reggae records label based out of New York, they just announced they're going to do their next cover album, which is going to be a cover of The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, or more commonly known as Ziggy Stardust, by the late, great David Bowie. This is going to be a really cool reggae dub cover of that particular album. They released their first single, Starman, which sounds great. So definitely check that out on your favorite streaming service. That's going to be releasing, I believe, in April. I'll probably talk a little bit more about that closer to the release date. And lastly, this week is going to see the return of Sarah Michelle Gellar to horror genre entertainment TV with her show Wolfpack, which is being released on Paramount Plus, I think this coming Thursday, which would be January 26th, if I'm not mistaken. I'm excited for that show. It should be really cool. I'm a huge fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So it's going to be cool to see Sarah Michelle Gellar back on TV, and this time not fighting vampires, but fighting werewolves. So that will probably be a show I look deeper into the podcast later for a later episode. Cool. So that's all the news I have for now. Without further ado, let me go ahead and jump into my conversation with Nathan Wolfe. Returning to the Casting for Fun podcast tonight is my awesome, great friend, Nathan Wolfe. Nathan, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing great. How about yourself?
Good. Doing great too. It's good to see you again, and it's always good to sit down and talk about entertainment news, or geek news if you prefer. I'm cool using either phrase.
Yeah, I don't get offended by any terms, so.
Oh, very cool. But yeah, so I definitely want to talk the Willow show on Disney Plus, and also reminisce about the movie, because I loved the movie growing up. I thought the movie was great. And then, of course, the Weird Al show, or the Weird Al movie, rather, on the Roku channel.
Yes.
I know you're a big fan of Weird Al, so I wanted to get your opinions on that, because I know there might have been some controversies, I think, initially with Daniel Radcliffe being cast as Weird Al, right?
Oh, was there? I don't even know if I heard about that. I'll have to.
Okay, we'll dive into that a little bit more when we get to Weird Al. And then, of course, The Last of Us has been a huge hit on HBO. The short time it's been out, the reviews have been fantastic. And my assumption is that the fan reaction has been very positive as well. So I wanted to get your take on that because I know you're a huge gamer, and I'm assuming you've had played the game as well. So
Yes.
there will be spoilers for sure, but we'll limit
Oh
the
yeah.
spoilers on The Last of Us for just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So before we get to that, though, I do want to just share some cool geek news that just kind of broke this past week, which I think would be kind of fun to discuss, particularly for us. So Cobra Kai, it was officially announced that the sixth season will, in fact, be the last season, which is good news. I mean, bittersweet because I love the show
Yeah.
so much, but at the same time, my understanding was that the producers and showrunners had a specific objective in mind, and it looks like they're being able to complete that. I know Netflix kind of has the reputation of sometimes canceling shows prematurely, which I know can be
Hmm.
upsetting to some of the fans, but it looks like they're getting to do exactly what they wanted to do with Cobra Kai. So, what were your thoughts when you heard the news that season 6 would, in fact, be the last season?
Yeah, actually, I saw that. I think you shared the link on Facebook, and so that's where I saw it. Um, Kind of like bittersweet. Like it, I really enjoy the show, and when you like a show, it's like you want it to keep going, but I think it's also smart to not have a show out where it's welcome, where you're like, oh, still doing the show, like
Mm-hmm.
just end it already, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's good that they get to go out on their own terms and have kind of wrap everything up nightly or nicely in how they want it, and they're not like cancel mid-season and they got to kind of rework things, and it might uh, not has gone as they wanted it to to go, but so yeah, it's like I said, it's bittersweet, but I think it's good for the most part. So
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I know that they were specifically waiting for filming to begin until they actually got the green light from Netflix that, yes, you can continue on, which is smart. I mean, you don't want to obviously start filming and realize, oh, you've been canceled, which actually happens sometimes in Hollywood.
yeah.
So my guess is I think probably later this year they'll start filming. So the earliest we might probably will see season 6 probably won't be until 2024. But when it does launch, I'll be really excited, and we'll definitely get together and talk about it again.
Oh, awesome, cool.
The last bit of news that I wanted to share with you was I don't know if you heard, but it appears, according to several Hollywood trades, is that Tron Ares, so the long-awaited Tron sequel, is finally moving forward at Disney, with Jared Leto attached and a gentleman by the name of Joaquin Ronan to direct, who's worked with some of other Disney movies. I think one of the Pirates of the Caribbeans and one of the Maleficent movies. So I wanted to
Yes.
get your opinion. Do you like this news? Do you like Jared Leto potentially attached? And what did you think when you heard about they're finally moving forward with another Tron movie?
So I mean, my email address is Tron6. I've been a huge fan of the movie in high school when it was very not well known and unpopular. Like I would go to Disneyland and just look for any Tron stuff I could, during that time, like, late 90s, early 2000s. And I, could never find anything Tron just because it was, like a forgotten Disney movie. So I saw this, the sequel, I think is in 2010. I remember enjoying it. I haven't seen it, I don't think, since. So
Mhm.
I'm mixed about the sequel. Like, as far as Jared Leto is concerned, I haven't seen many movies of his. I know he played the Joker, which was not well received. So in Suicide Squad, so I never saw that. I never saw Morbius for the same reason. I heard it was not that great. The only thing I know him from is My So-Called Life, the show from mid '90s, early '90s with Claire Danes.
Yeah.
So I remember him being good in that, but I haven't seen much of his work as far as movie goes. So I'm kind of like, okay, that's cool. They're gonna make another Tron movie because it means more Tron stuff, which I enjoy. So I'll just have to kind of wait and see how it is. But
I think I'm going with that approach as well. And hopefully we get some more casting as well, because again, I really love for them to bring back Jeff Bridges. And then the actor, I believe I don't have it in my notes, but I think Garrett Hudson. I
oh,
think.
I was gonna say, I was thinking of who played Tron is Bruce Boxleitner,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
from
So,
the original movie. I'm like, I'd like to see him in the movie, but
yeah. Yeah. And then of course, I'm trying to blank on her name, who previously dated Jason Sudeikis.
Oh, Olivia Wilde.
Olivia Wilde, thank you. Yeah, she was in the Tron Legacy as well. So
That's
to
right.
get us to do some interconnectivity between those movies would be great. So, but well, I guess we have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah. So yeah, like that type of thing. Like, well, we'll see how it goes. Like I'm not terribly excited because I just it's not. I still like Tron and everything, but it's not kind of the last movie. I don't remember it being too great. I remember being okay if I remember. So I'm not as pumped for this next one as I probably should be, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, you never know. We might be pleasantly surprised there, or it
Yes.
might be I don't know, disappointment.
Yeah.
So, but regardless, I think I agree with you. I'm excited that they're actually at least gonna go forward with it. Disney has the funds, so they can do what they want. If it's
Hmm.
a financial bomb, I don't think it's gonna hurt the company.
No. So
Okay, very good. So let's go ahead and jump into some Willow talk. So when we talked about Cobra Kai back in the fall of last year, we talked, also about the concept of legacy sequels that, if done right, they can be really entertaining and great. Giving us uh, good treatment of the legacy characters and at the same time creating brand new characters that are as likable as the ones that we love so they can potentially carry on the show. I mentioned that concept to my wife a few weeks ago that I think that's the key element to making a successful legacy sequel. So Willow, before we jump into the Disney Plus show, I wanted to just get your thoughts on the original movie. Did you have fond memories watching that? I know it came out in the later 80s, so you probably would have been really young when it initially came out. But I'm assuming because of love for nerd and geek culture and stuff like that, you've probably seen it many times. Is that right?
yeah. Yes. I'm the youngest of four boys. We have no sisters, and so I had my my oldest brother's born in '77. So I grew up watching, even though I was probably younger at the time, but I grew up watching a lot of those movies. And Willow was one that was on rotation. I think we had recorded it off of TV, if I remember, we'd watch it whenever it was on TV. So I have a lot of great memories of that movie. I think it's beautifully shot. The soundtrack is amazing. Val Kilmer is great as Man Mardigan. He's almost kind of like the Han Solo type character. He's kind of swarmy and like a bit of a bad boy, but very charming at the same time and charismatic. It's hard not to like him in the movie. And Warwick Davis is excellent. I think he was like, I want to say like 18 or 19 when he did it. He was very young for having a lead role, but he was really good. And um, what's the general's name in the movie?
General Kale.
Kale. He has like one of
Yeah.
the coolest masks
Mm-hmm.
from like any movie. It's like it's kind of like it's got a skull, and he's just always awesome looking as a kid. I'm like, he was a cool bad guy, or kind of henchman for Queen Morta. But yeah, I always enjoyed it. Thought it was really funny. It was a fun adventure. It's kind of remind me of almost The Hobbit, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But no, yeah, we always enjoyed watching that one whenever it was on. So
Oh, awesome. Me too. Me too. Like most of us, I would imagine we watched it large part because of George Lucas's involvement. So after watching
yeah,
Star Wars trilogy, you're kind of with this mind frame of like, okay, anything he does, I want to check out and watch. So I watched Willow extensively because of that. I also watched Howard the Duck a lot because of
oh
George
yeah,
Lucas. That may not have been necessarily the best idea.
no, yeah, Howard the Duck is kind of like it's so bad it's good type of movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely not as good as Willow. And I mean, Willow was directed by Ron Howard, who was
Yeah.
I don't think he had done many things. I think he did a movie called Grand Theft Auto in the early '80s.
The movie I think he was most famous for was Cocoon.
Cocoon, yes, that's right.
Yeah,
So
before Willow. So but yeah, Ron Howard obviously had a good relationship with George Lucas because he starred back when he was still acting in American Graffiti. So back in the 70s.
that's
So
right.
well before our time. But for
Yeah,
anyone who hasn't seen American Graffiti, and if you're a fan of George Lucas, I definitely recommend checking it out.
American Graffiti is one of my favorite movies.
Oh,
I think it's probably my second favorite George Lucas movie.
oh cool.
Empire Strikes Back would probably be my favorite. And then yeah, I think American Graffiti is great. I got me into kind of '50s and '60s music when I was younger, and I used to listen to that soundtrack all the time when I was like 8 or 9 years old. So
Oh, okay, very good.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do for Willow, just to share some fun facts, so that I looked up on over the internet as I was just researching for this podcast, because again, just diving into the things we love as when we were kids, I think it's really fun. And there's actually some really interesting facts about Willow. Some of them are
Okay.
kind of funny too. So the musical score, as you mentioned, Nathan, was beautifully done by James Horner, who's done so many wonderful, beautiful scores in his life. So Willow would probably be one of my top ones by him, along with Braveheart. He did that one as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me see.
Braveheart's beautiful.
Yeah, George Lucas had conceived the idea back in the 70s, and then specifically wanted Warwick Davis to play the role of Willow after meeting him on set for Return of the Jedi. And like
Yeah,
you
he
mentioned,
played
he was really young. I think like in my notes, I had him at 17. So
17.
he was just barely older than his kids, which is kind of funny to think that.
Yeah, he played the main Ewok Wicket in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, that's right. For people who don't know that, and I was just kind of assuming people
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, the one that Princess Leia finds, and they interact a lot with each other in Return of the Jedi. So
Yeah. And then Joanne Wally, I don't know if I have her name right. The actress who played Sorsha, Joan Wally. I'm sorry. Yeah. She and Mad Mardigan. I'm sorry, Mad Mardigan. Yeah, Mad Mardigan. Val Kilmer. They ended up getting married after working
Yes.
on Willow together, which is really cool and exciting. They did get divorced, but
yeah,
their son Jack Kilmer, he does the voice of Mad Mardigan in the Disney Plus show. Well, so we'll get to that, but yeah, the brief moment when we get to hear Mad Mardigan speaking to his daughter Kit is actually voiced by their son Jack Kilmer, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
General Kell, I want to dive on him a little bit. So, like you, Nathan, General Kell was a really awesome villain. Like you said, he's really cool looking. In fact, the final, okay, spoilers, because we're obviously talking about Willow, but the final battle between him and Mad Mardigan was really intense. In fact, I think
Yes.
Mad Mardigan had to stab him like 5 times before he finally went down.
Yeah.
But apparently, so the actor is Pat Roach, who, because of his hulking appearance, he's appeared in a number of different Lucasfilm movies. In fact, all 3 of the original Indiana Jones trilogy movies he appeared in as different characters. So, because he dies in all of them.
Oh, okay.
So, most famously, he's the one that's boxing with Harrison Ford, the bald German guy, and he gets obliterated by the airplane propeller.
Oh, okay. I was
that.
gonna say, I'm like when you said he was in Indiana Jones movies, I bet he was the guy that got chopped up by the propeller. So
yeah, that was him. And then what's let me see here, a couple other things here. The Eberisk, which is, I mean, it's not mentioned in the movie, but there's the 2-headed dragon that spawns from the troll that Willow inadvertently creates using a spell.
Oh, yes.
I guess like in production notes or like in some form outside of the movie, it was revealed that the name was Eberisk, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, and it was like just a tongue-in-cheek joke made at the expense of Siskel and Ebert. To kind of like, you're the 2-headed dragon monster. So they kind of put their names together,
okay.
which I think is kind of funny. And then one other interesting fact that I thought was kind of funny, that so there's the scene when Bab Morda transforms everybody into pigs.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to get live pigs to take the place of all the actors who got transformed because of her spell. Apparently the pigs started mating with each other, so the producers had to throw water on them and stop it, I guess, because if you get too many animals together at the same time, I guess maybe some, I don't know, hanky-panky is going to happen, which is kind of funny to me.
I mean, yeah, then maybe they're in cages by themselves and they got bored, so they
Yeah. So one more fact that I wanted to share, because I didn't know this before researching it. So we finally get the Disney Plus series, so effectively a sequel to the show, to the movie Willow. But apparently there was a trilogy of books that had been written by Chris Claremont that came out back in the 90s that were supposed to serve as a sequel to Willow. They weren't very well received by the fans, though.
Okay.
I have the names here: Shadow Moon, Shadow Dawn, and Shadow Star. I guess Chris Claremont, most famous for being one of the most prolific X-Men comic book writers, had received notes from George Lucas, but at the same time, Lucas was in the process of preparing his script for The Phantom Menace. So I guess he didn't collaborate with him as close as he would have thought. But yeah, those books weren't super well received by the fans, apparently. I've never read them myself. In fact, I didn't even aware that they were released only just this past week.
Yeah, I didn't know that they made sequel books until you just told me, so that's interesting.
So if anyone's a hardcore fan of Willow and is looking to check it out, Shadow Moon, Shadow Dawn, and Shadow Star. But I guess since technically with Disney buying out Lucasfilm, those books aren't canon anymore anyways. But if you want to just read them for like a fun fan fiction, please feel free. which leads us to the Disney Plus series now. So I wanted to talk about that. It's kind of interesting to me, we discussed about the concept of legacy sequels, and if they're done just right, and then sometimes maybe certain properties should get a legacy sequel, maybe should not. Do you remember how you felt when you heard that Willow was going to get a sequel on Disney Plus?
I was pretty excited for it actually because it's a movie I really like a lot, and it was even for a while it was hard to find on Blu-ray. Like I think they did like a 25th anniversary, would have been back in 2013. Um, is that if my math is correct? If not, I apologize. But or some anniversary, and that went out of print, and then like you couldn't find it anywhere, and so I was excited to to have that Willow was going to get some more love, basically because I think it's an underrated movie, and those who have heard of it and seen it, they usually really like it. I don't know if I've know anyone that has seen it and didn't like it. I'm sure there's people, but
Mhm.
so I was pretty excited for it. When with the news. So
Oh, I was pretty excited too when I heard. In fact, I can remember going back to 2012, the fall of 2012, when it was officially announced that Disney had acquired Lucasfilm, and then they were going to be starting right away to make Star Wars movies. And reading various reports saying that they acquired all of Lucasfilm. So that also meant, in theory, Indiana Jones could potentially get more movies. And then also Willow, thinking, oh, it was so random and obscure, like Willow, like no one's ever going to touch Willow. But then all of a sudden, when you find out the news that Disney had acquired Lucasfilm, like I guess hope sprung up that yes, maybe they might actually do something.
yeah.
Yeah. So they did. And we got the show. What were your general thoughts and impressions of the show? Because I know, just reading online, I know there's been kind of mixed reactions from fans based on what we got. So I was curious what you thought, Nathan, about the Disney Plus show.
So I'm curious, real quick. Have you watched the whole thing?
I have, yes.
Okay, I've only watched the first. Starting the third episode.
Okay, thank you for letting me know, so I won't go too deep into spoilers then.
Yeah, no worries. But I was wanting to like it a lot, and maybe it'll get like kind of better. And maybe the first two episodes were more kind of set up, but I've been a little disappointed with it so far. Not that it's been bad; it just hasn't been that great. If that makes if that's it's just I guess there's a lot more. I mean, there's a lot more characters than I thought there would be, because I mean, for the movie of Willow, it's mostly Willow, Madmartigan, and they just kind of meet people along the way. So I mean, and I know his friend Migosh was with him for maybe the first quarter of the movie or first third, and they had a bigger group at the beginning, but they break off from them. So so I've been a little disappointed with it. It's been a little kind of, I don't know, I felt like it's almost like Lord of the Rings light or Game of Thrones light, where it's trying to be that, but not as good as those. And maybe I'm not, I shouldn't compare them to those movies or shows just because, but I don't know, I guess I was expecting more so far, and maybe you can tell me if you felt the same or if you felt differently, and if you felt like it got better as it went on. But
it's difficult to say for certain because, again, like I said, hopes for the show were really, really high. But at the same time, yeah, I think there were things that were kind of lacking. I hope people listening to the podcast don't get tired of me just constantly singing the praises for Cobra Kai. But I think, again, it did an excellent job of doing a really great job of honoring the legacy characters and introducing us to new characters who we care about. I found that a lot of the newer characters I didn't like as much. Some of them were pretty cool. The twins. So you met the twins, Kid and Eric. Both of them are kind of annoying to me.
Yes. I like. Is it Borman?
Borman. Yeah, he's a fun character.
Borman's really cool. I like Borman. He's just very charismatic, and very charming and likable. So,
the actor Tony Revolori. I apologize if I'm butchering his name. I really like him. His character is pretty good. I know our mutual good friend Marcelo Ambrose is a big fan of Wes Anderson movies, and he got a
Well,
lot of high
me
praise
too.
from doing the movie The Grand Budapest Hotel. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Yes, that's right. No, I'm a huge Wes Anderson fan as well,
Oh,
and
cool. Oh, okay.
I forgot that he was in it. So
Yeah, I think for me, I know him best for playing Flash Thompson in the recent Spider-Man
yes,
movies. But yeah, I like his character. So some of the characters, newer characters, are good, but some of them, I guess I could take or leave them. And then at the
hmm
same time, even though it's called Willow, I mean it's his show. I feel like he kind of takes a little bit of a back step. I think
yeah,
a good portion of the story is really focusing on okay, so spoilers for people I mean Nathan's already seen the first episode, so the adult Alora Dannon.
yeah. I could, which makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was kind of doing some research just to see because like we get to see that, Warwick Davis returns as Willow and then Joan Wally returns as Sorsha, but we didn't really see too many other legacy characters. So I was actually just doing a little research to find out what happened to the other dwarfs from the movie or the other Nelwins, I guess the term that they use in the movie.
Yeah.
Billy Barty, I don't know if you're familiar with that actor.
Yes, it wasn't he? He was in UHF, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. If I was going to bring that up a little bit later. So yeah,
Oh yeah,
so he plays the High Aldwin, so the wizard of their village. He was
yes,
actually a member of the church, which is pretty fascinating
yes.
here.
I
Yeah,
knew that. So
yeah, but he passed away. He passed away
yes,
back in 2004, so he was out. David J. Steinberg, he's the actor who played Migosh. He unfortunately also passed away because of tragic circumstances. So I didn't want to get too much
okay.
into that. Mark Northover, he's the actor who played Burglecut. He also passed away.
Okay.
So a lot of these actors, I was kind of hoping, I wonder if they can bring back, so and so from their village, but unfortunately, most of them have passed away.
And
Um,
who's the
uh,
main warrior in the village?
Philip von De Caro is the actor, but he plays the warrior Vonkar. He's
Von
actually
Cart.
still
Okay.
alive, so they probably
Oh,
could have reached out to him and said, "Hey, do you want to appear on the show?" I don't know if they did, and he turned them down, or they
yeah.
just didn't reach out. But yeah, so I was disappointed that we didn't see many of the legacy characters, and I also feel that they were kind of underutilized, if that makes sense.
Okay. And I heard I think Kevin Pollock is in it, right?
Oh yeah, so he does return as one of the
Okay.
brownies. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. That's what I figured. I think I heard something about that. So
Mm-hmm. Well, I know some of the aspects of the show can kind of be off-putting as well, so I won't get too much into spoilers here. But I don't know if you're familiar with the shows of Joss Whedon, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel and Firefly. Okay, so in those shows, like Joss Whedon has like a certain like style, like sarcastic, like uh dry humor that I think could be kind
Mhm.
of like off-putting to certain people. One of the episodes in particular that I enjoyed from the Willow Disney Plus show, I think really takes cues. Like you almost feel like you're watching an episode of Buffy or Angel. And I think that might be kind of off-putting to some of the people too. So it kind of felt like the tone it's in a medieval fantasy world, but it's not quite the same tone as the original movie, if that also makes sense too. So
No,
so
that
I can
does.
understand fans maybe being disappointed about that.
I'm looking forward to that episode because I enjoy that type of humor and kind of what you're saying with it being like a medieval kind of fantasy theme.
Mhm.
Uh, the two songs at the end during the credits are like I like if I'm remembering they're like modern pop songs or like or reversions of songs and like modernized. So like it just like felt very disjointed from the rest of the episode. If that, I don't know if you felt that when you were
No,
watching
I
it.
agree with you. Yeah, in fact, actually, the songs that you're referring to, one of them was it was a cover version of "Enter Sandman" by Metallica,
That's yeah,
and then another
and
one was a cover version of "Black Hole Sun" by Soundgarden.
that's
And yeah,
right. Yeah,
like you mentioned, it just felt really kind of out of place. And
yes. Like it was a really
I
weird
guess this won't
choice.
be like major spoilers for you. It's a minor spoiler, but they end up using a Beatles song for one of their end credits in one of the later episodes too. So
Is
it
it a
does feel like kind of disjointed, like you said.
is it a cover of a Beatles
No,
song?
I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was an actual like their original recording.
Okay, I have an issue most of the time with covers of Beatles songs. I don't know. I'm like it's kind of taboo for me. So like you have
Uh-huh.
to do it really well. But anyways, that's another conversation. But
Oh, okay. But yeah, with all that being said, though, I mean, I thought the show was for the most part pretty enjoyable. The fight sequences I thought were fantastic, so I'm really excited for you to get to see more of that. Like, it seemed like the actors really put forth the effort. In fact, Aaron Kellyman, who's been in several other Disney products as well. She was in Solo, and she was also in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Okay.
Her character was pretty cool. Like, and she actually, it looked like she took some good training. So all the cast members I thought did an excellent job with the fighting. I kind of wish we had seen more because, again, as I mentioned, the fight sequence from the original movie between Matt Mardigan and General Kale is one of the best ever. So,
So you
I
felt
am. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh you felt like it got did you feel like it got better as it went on?
I
Or
felt that it seemed like the battle sequences tend to focus more on magic and less on swords and shields, which I was a little disappointed on as
okay.
well. But I can understand because again minor spoilers, but they're trying to develop and grow Laura Dannon, who is basically really becoming the lead of the show, even though it's technically called Willow.
Okay. No, I could get that from by the end of the second episode, when
Mm-hmm.
she finally does something that she's been trying to do like the whole episode. Not
Mm-hmm.
to spoil it, but it's not.
Yeah.
So okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay, so I do recommend finishing up for you just to get to gather your own thoughts on what you thought. And for my listeners, anybody listening, if you feel free to reach out to me, let me know what you thought of the Disney Plus show Willow. It left on a cliffhanger. I won't spoil the cliffhanger, but it did leave it open that there could be potential more seasons, even though nothing's been revealed just yet. But I guess they're just waiting to see if fan interest is there. But I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think I'd be okay with them doing more. I just would like to see them more, I guess, develop the characters they have, make them a little less irritating. Eric and Kit, I'm looking at both of you.
Yeah.
And just, if possible, to try and, I guess, ground the show a little bit more and turn it more towards the way the movie was done. But at the same time, the movie had some silly elements too. Like, I mean, the brownies themselves are pretty silly. So.
Yeah, and I remember Burgle Cut gets pooped on by a bird.
Yeah.
So
So yeah. So there we go. Very cool. Very cool. Did you have anything else with Willow that you wanted to share?
just the final thing is, I understand why Mad Mardigan's not in it. It's unfortunate that Val Kilmer, I think he had throat cancer and it kind of just ruined his vocal cord. I'm sure you saw him in Top Gun, Maverick. So that's unfortunate. Because I'm a big, huge Val Kilmer fan from, I like him in Real Genius, in Willow, and Heat, and I'm sure there's other movies that I'm just blanking on, but I really like him as an actor, and it's just unfortunate that that happened to him. So I'm sure that's why he didn't come back for the show. I'm sure he probably would have, if health was better for him. So that's my final thoughts. So.
Oh, very good. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump into the Weird Al movie on the Roku channel. So there is a little bit of a tie-in, as Nathan had mentioned. So there is a connection between Willow and Weird Al, and this fact that Billy Barty, who has a long history in Hollywood before he passed away, appeared 1 year later after Willow was released in '88, in the year 1989, in the classic Weird Al movie UHF. Which I just happened to watch just a few days ago, just for fun on YouTube, because it was there for free to watch.
Did you grow up watching that movie, or
not really? Even though I did like Weird Al's music, I never actually saw it before. But then I was just like researching random stuff about Weird Al over the internet this past week, and saw that the UHF movie was available for free to watch on YouTube. So I went ahead and watched it.
So was that your first time ever seeing it?
First time, yeah, first time.
Oh, okay, wow. I've probably seen it 30 plus times. I could quote it. That was a big staple in our house growing up. And,
very good. Awesome.
I love that movie. I think it's hilarious. Did real quick, did you enjoy it or find it funny, or was it too weird, or?
It was kind of weird, but I did find it enjoyable. So I mean, it is what it is. It's ridiculous silliness, and just the sequence in the beginning when the boulder they're imitating the scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and the boulder's just chasing after him, no matter which way he turns, it's still chasing him.
It turns the corner, and they got like Great Wall of China or something in the background. It's very ridiculous. So
Yeah. So as most people know, about this past fall, Roku actually developed a biopic about Weird Al, starring Daniel Radcliffe as taking on the role of Weird Al, which again, I guess could be kind of polarizing a little bit because when a major actor who's kind of in a sort of typecast a little bit, everyone sees him as Harry Potter. When he's announced as the lead of such a movie, I think maybe some fans may be taken back a little bit. But again, so the movie is available exclusively to the Roku channel, and I was watching it, but for some reason it won't allow me to watch anymore. Something's wrong with my app on the Roku app, so I had to try and get that figured out. So I was able to watch a little bit of it, but it was actually really enjoyable. I thought he looks the part. I think he looks really great as Weird Al, and the story, I guess it would be interesting to see because again, it seems like it's kind of over the top as opposed to necessarily being like a serious bio picture about him. So I was wondering your thoughts because I know just from getting to know you over social media like Facebook and Instagram that you're a huge Weird Al fan. So from your perspective, what did you think of the Weird Al movie starring Daniel Radcliffe?
So yeah, I think I've been to maybe 6 or 7 Weird Al shows, and I recommend anyone go there, even if you're like a light Weird Al fan. They're just very entertaining, and you can bring the whole family, and they're just a lot of fun. So when it was first announced, I was excited because I guess I like Weird Al so much that I wanted to see an actual real biopic about him. Like,
Mhm.
and when I watched the trailer, I was disappointed if because it was like a parody of biopic movies, and I'm like,
Mhm.
after like a week, I'm like, well, what was I expecting it to? Like probably most people won't go see a biopic movie about Weird Al's actual life because it's probably not that interesting to most people. And I'm like, of course he's going to do a parody of biopic movies. It was just the fan in me wanted. I'm like, oh, I'd love to know more about his life and things like that. So it is a parody movie about biopic movies.
Mhm.
And I thought it was very funny. I thought it was really good. Like, I kind of went in with expectations like, hopefully it'll be enjoyable, but I thought it was really funny. I thought Daniel Radcliffe was really good. I did have one complaint about the movie, and um, it was kind of off-putting to me, but when Daniel Radcliffe is, singing the Weird Al songs, he's like just lip syncing, and it's Weird Al's voice singing it.
Mhm.
I like to hear, even if they're not, but I heard Daniel Radcliffe can sing, like he's a decent singer. I would have preferred that he sang the songs instead of, hearing Weird Al's voice come out of Daniel Radcliffe. I just thought it was just kind of weird to me. That was my one complaint, but I thought it was really funny. I highly recommend you finish it. I won't spoil anything, but uh, it's a very weird movie, rightfully titled. But I thought it was super fun and very funny. And yeah, my just one complaint is that Daniel Radcliffe doesn't sing the songs. Weird Al does, and so he lip syncs to his music. So
Oh, okay, interesting. Very good. Yeah, I definitely plan to finish it. I did have one question for you, though. I guess I hope it's not going too much into spoiler territory for people, but so I do know that Rainn Wilson plays Dr. Demento on the show,
correct.
and obviously Rainn Wilson, I love him from The Office. I think he's hysterical as Dwight Schrute. But I was curious. I mean, as you mentioned, I guess it's so it's a parody of a biopic. So obviously, it's not 100% accurate the things that we're seeing. So uh, Weird Al, like making a bologna sandwich and then hearing Mike Sharona on the radio. That's not how he came up with the song, right? That's just pure fiction.
Yeah, I don't think it happened like it came on the radio. It was not like this magical moment like that. I think he just was thinking of funny different lyrics
Oh,
um
okay.
for the song, and I don't maybe he was eating a bologna sandwich at the time. I don't know if I've heard that, but no, he was. So he used to record his own, like he did original songs and on his like little tape recorder at home because he took accordion lessons when he was younger. His parents, he said there's an accordion door-to-door salesman that gave or you'd sign up for lessons, and his parents picked that over guitar. um so he would record songs on his accordion at like 14 or 15, 16, and send them into the Dr. Demento show because he listened to it,
Mhm.
and Dr. Demento would play his songs. Like he had a song called Belvedere Cruiser about his family car growing up. Like it was just like a little, minute and a half song about the car. And his songs got pretty popular on the show. Like they got, a lot of airtime. So that is true, part of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to ask if Dr. Demento actually had a hand in his career or played a
Oh
part
yeah, that
in
was
his.
it was a
Okay.
big part
Okay.
of his career. So,
Oh, okay.
and he recorded, I think it's My Bologna. He recorded in the bathroom. There's a bathroom across the hall from the radio station that he worked at. So he
Uh-huh.
had like all these wires from like he didn't. I don't think he had permission to record it in the radio station, but he had all the wires and stuff going from the radio station into the bathroom at the college that Weird Al worked at, and he recorded My Bologna in the bathroom. So
Oh, okay. Oh, cool. Yeah, I definitely want to finish it up because again, I think his parodies are really funny and very creative. Some of them are really silly, yes, but I think it's just funny stuff. It's just good humor. It's really great.
yeah,
I was curious. One more question about Weird Al.
mhm.
So, considering how big of a fan you are, Nathan, do you have a particular parody that is your favorite of Weird Al's? Or if you can't come up with just one, do you have like maybe like two or three or maybe four that you really, really enjoy?
Okay. I'll answer this question with a answer to another question. I honestly think his originals are better than his parodies. I know
Oh, okay.
he's most known for his parodies, but he does write original songs that he usually has maybe two or three on each album, and I think those are better personally. And he does like in the style of,
Mm-hmm.
so he has songs that he has the song. I don't know if you know "Dare to Be Stupid." It's in the style of Devo. He
Uh-huh.
has another song called "Everything You Know Is Wrong." It's in the style of They Might Be Giants, and they sound like songs from those bands. Like he does it
Mm-hmm.
like it's not a parody of one of their songs, but he just does it in the style that band would do it in.
Oh, okay.
And, but so if I had to say favorite parodies, I really like Another One Rides the Bus. I think that one's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Like a Surgeon is really good. It's a parody of Like a Virgin. But one of my favorite songs by him, it's an original and is on the Bad Hair Day album that had Amish Paradise.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Larry. It is about a bully in, I don't think it's about Weird Al, but it's just about a kid who used to get picked on by a bully in high school, and all the things the bully did to him, and how he uh, got him back. I won't spoil the song for you, but if anyone's listening and you don't know the song Larry by Weird Al, just look it up. I think it's about 3 minutes long, and it's very dark, but it's hilarious. I think it's if you like dark humor, you'll enjoy it. So
Oh, okay, awesome. I have to check out that song for sure.
yeah.
The song that I would pick, I mean, there's so many great ones to pick, but the one that I absolutely love is Trapped in the Drive-Thru.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. So I mean, it's a parody based off of the R. Kelly song. And I don't care for R. Kelly's music at all, but I remember when I used to listen to the Kevin and Bean show here in LA,
Hmm.
K
Yeah.
Rock. They talked about it extensively. His original song of Trapped in the Closet, where it's a really like just weird story of like infidelity. It's kind of but anyway,
Yeah.
so Weird Al, for those who don't know, Weird Al did a parody of that song called Trapped in the Drive-Thru, where it's a couple and they're arguing and fighting over where they want to go for dinner that night. And any married couple who's ever had that argument or dispute can probably relate to that song. It's 11 minutes, I mean, but it's just pure just comedy and just I can't describe it enough. Just being how funny and awesome that song is. So yeah, check up the video on YouTube if you get a chance. Trapped in the Drive-Thru by Weird Al, definitely one of my favorites.
If any married couple hasn't had that argument, I don't know if you're really married. So
Awesome, man. Very good. Very good. So last but not least, let's go ahead and wrap up with The Last of Us on HBO Max. So when I heard that they were going to be developing this the video game onto an actual show, I was actually intrigued and interested, but I never actually played the game before. And it's kind of surprising because again, I'm a huge video game fan, or I used to be. I still love them. I just don't really play as much as I used to, just because it's a little harder now with kids and going through graduate school. But The Last of Us was developed by Naughty Dog, so the same people who do the Uncharted games. And as you know, if you listen to the show, you know that Uncharted 2 is my all-time favorite game. So it is kind of unusual. Thanks again, the thumbs up for Nathan, that I haven't actually played this game because, again, I wasn't a huge fan of the Resident Evil style games. So like those survivor horrors. I don't know if you like those type of games at all.
I do. I love Resident Evil games. So
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the Last of Us, I wanted to play it, but I don't know if I had the courage to do it. Like one time I was at a buddy's house. He was playing one of the older Resident Evil games on the PlayStation 1. So this would have been back in the 90s. And he was playing it really late. I was over late. I don't remember why. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not playing this game. But
it's
anyway, oh, go ahead, Nathan.
it's not a. I'm trying to think because it's hard for me to say because I don't get scared particularly easy. It's not as scary as a Resident Evil game, I'll say that, and it's it's more story focused of a game. And actually, you fight a lot of humans in it. There are other people trying to survive in. I don't know if anyone's watched Walking Dead, how it's like, yeah, zombies are an obstacle, but humans are just if not a bigger obstacle for those trying to survive. So it has some kind of freaky moments, or maybe a little jump scares here and there, but I'd highly recommend it. I mean, at least maybe trying it. I mean, at least I guess you know what the opening is now. Now that you've watched the show, or the first episode, but The Last of Us it's an amazing game, and it was quite an experience. I would stay up till like 3 a.m. every night playing it because I just couldn't stop. I wanted to see what happened next. So.
Oh, awesome. Very good. Very good. So, so when I heard that they were going to be doing the show, I was actually interested in checking it out. And then several other people have told me, hey, I mean, you love the Uncharted games. And I mean, because with those Uncharted games, you can see just the guys, the writers over at Naughty Dog are just master storytellers. You can just tell really compelling, great story. So I watched the first episode and I was just blown away with just how much I loved it, how great I thought it was. I also, I mean, not getting to too much spoilers because I really want to try and stay as fresh as possible. But just what I've heard from other people saying is that the relationship between Joel, who's played by Pedro Pascal in the movie, and
Ellie,
thank you. That's I was trying to blink on that. So that they have a really great special bond, almost like father and daughter like. And again, in my stage of life, I mean, obviously, I'm a girl dad. I mean, I love my adopted son too, but again, I have a very special relationship with my daughter. So shows that kind of take that approach, I think, can be really compelling and very interesting. So what we got to see on the show, for the first episode, what I've been told, actually, in some cases, kind of mirrors what happens in the game. Is that right? Oh, yeah. So if I'd been playing the game, I think I would have been just absolutely heartbroken over like the opening sequence.
So when I'm watching, I just watched it today because our basement flooded last weekend. So for those who didn't know, but anyways, so we were able to watch it tonight because we watched both episodes tonight, the first and second. I was thinking like, oh, are we spoiling what happened or just
we can go ahead and talk about the first episode if that's okay.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just didn't know if I wanted to spoil what happened in the first episode. I was wondering like, how are they going to do the part with Joel's daughter? I'm like, is it going to be as impactful? And I'll say it wasn't. I think it hit me harder in the game, but it still hit me pretty hard in the show. And which video game adaptations are usually awful. Let's be honest, or not great. Maybe they're okay at best. But yeah, I teared up quite a bit, and that part is so difficult in the game, but it just sets, just like kind of knocks you off your feet at the first 45 minutes, and you're like, okay, that's what I'm in. That's what I'm going to be in for the rest of the game or the rest of the show. So.
Oh, very good. Yeah. So I was really, really drawn in by how they're presenting this apocalypse that's happening. And I guess technically they're not zombies. Is that right? The characters who get transformed.
Yeah, they're, I mean, infected or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, they did change. Just with the first episode, I guess it's like, it's a fungus, but in the game, you were infected by either being bitten or they were it was big with like oil and gas masks. There was like spore clouds, like underground and things like that, where if you breathe it in, you could get infected. And so I know they did change that, and some fans were, if you change anything. So I still don't quite get how it works exactly. Besides being bit, I don't know if you understood it better than I did in the first episode of how they get infected besides being bit, or if there's another way.
Well, I was kind of putting like some of my own ideas how it could happen. So it's actually it was really interesting. The very first sequence of the show that goes back to the
Oh
60s, and
yes,
we get to
yeah,
see I forget his name. He's the actor who's in the Mummy, like
yeah. He
the
played
brother of Rachel
Jonathan.
Weisz's character. Yeah, Jonathan. Thank you. Yeah. So he's explaining it in the scientific way, just how fungus is actually more devastating or deadly than a virus, because you get sick from a virus, but you could get
Yes,
better. But like with a
there's no
fungus disease,
cure.
it's like, yeah, there's no cure. But how it actually spreads, I guess it could spread through biting, but I mean, somehow I think they'll probably maybe explain it, but somebody
Probably.
came in contact with a fungus and it grew on them, and how they described it that the fungus just doesn't kill you, it actually makes you into a puppet. It actually
Yes.
transforms you, which is really scary to think about, and pretty cool and exciting. So I think it's a newer twist. Not to say that The Walking Dead is bad, because I really enjoy The Walking Dead, but I know sometimes zombie content can be oversaturating for certain people. So that's what I think
Mhm.
the appeal is for The Last of Us, at least from what I can gather. Having again not necessarily played the games, but just seeing that first episode.
Yeah, and kind of like what I mentioned, the infected or zombies or walkers, whatever you want to call them, they're kind
Mhm.
of like they're just an obstacle for people in the show or the game to it. If it's going to be like the game, it's going to be more story driven and about characters, developing relationships and things like that. So I'm not like too you know worried or focused on it, but I think they will, as the episodes go on, they will explain it kind of more and more, and yeah, should be good. So
Oh, awesome, awesome. So one more thing I wanted to bring up about the first episode. So we talked about before with Willow, like using popular songs at their end credits to kind of like, I guess maybe sort of connect to what's happening in the story, even though like I was a little confused as to how Enter Sandman does for Willow. Maybe I should rewatch it to kind of get the gist of it. But I was really excited when The Last of Us used Never Let Me Down Again by Depeche Mode to close out the show, which is an excellent song. And if you've been listening to the podcast, you know that they're my favorite band. So anytime like newer fans are discovering the band, it makes me pretty excited. In fact, it was cool to read that I guess the track received like a 200% increase on streaming sites like Spotify and
oh, nice.
YouTube Music as a result. So kind of like how Kate Bush and Running Up That Hill did for Stranger Things. So if this song, I mean, being used on The Last of Us can introduce a whole new generation of people to Depeche Mode, I'm totally for that. And then I think the lyrics of that particular song, I think kind of fits in, again, not knowing what's going to happen with Joel and Ellie, but from what I can gather, they're in for quite a ride together.
So Albert, I have a confession, and I hope we
Yeah.
can still be friends. And maybe I need someone to tell me like not like necessarily your favorite Depeche Mode album, but like this is a good one. Has a lot of good songs on it that for new people. I'm not the biggest Depeche Mode fan, surprisingly. I love the Smiths. I love 80s music.
Mm-hmm.
But like I always hear the same songs on the radio. It's like what are like the big hits that are always on the radio? Like Personal Jesus, is that them?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's another one? That's like
Enjoy the Silence, Personal Jesus, Policy of Truth. And
maybe
okay,
maybe that maybe that's
all
it.
these
So
songs are from the exact same album, Violator. So that's the one I would start with
okay,
for you.
I'll have
Yeah,
to
check
give
out
I'll have
Violator.
to give it a thought, but every song that I hear on the radio, I'm like, it's okay. Like I don't know, like it hasn't. I don't know why the Depeche Mode just like my wife's always like, why do you not like Depeche Mode? They sound just like you would. It sounds like that you would love them. Like I don't know. I just so
Oh, okay, so I'll give you some homework assignments, and yeah, so
cool.
Violator,
Okay.
Music for the Masses, which is the album that has Never Let Me Down Again, and then the third one I would really recommend would be Black Celebration.
Okay.
So, well, actually, I'd probably throw in another one too. Would be "Songs of Faith and Devotion," even though that's kind of like more the mid '90s Depeche Mode, but I think it's still really, really excellent. So, those four albums, yeah. So, give them a listen, and the next time we get together, we'll have a brief discussion about it. But yeah, we
Okay.
can still be friends. Don't worry.
Okay. Message me the one or two that you would recommend,
Okay.
because I'm using my phone as
Okay.
for
No worries at all.
meeting.
Like I mentioned, I mean, a lot of these shows, they actually do use popular songs. Sometimes that fit to the theme of what they're talking about in that episode. So this
Mhm.
isn't really new for just the Last of Us and for Willow. I mean, shows have been doing it for years now.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so yeah, but like I mentioned, if it can introduce new people to the band, that makes me really excited and happy. Because again, it's kind of one of those bands that yes, I still love to this day. But a lot of the younger kids like will probably say, "Who's the best one? What's that?" so
Yeah,
I can
actually,
totally get that. I totally get that.
it's funny. So we just watched it, and I mean, it was coming up, and I just know Depeche Mode sound, even though I'm not the biggest fan of them. But our nephew was watching it with us. He's 18 or 19, I can't remember. Um, and the song starts playing, and spoiler, he just asked, he's like, "Oh, is that '80s?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's because with the show of,
Uh-huh.
she asked like, "Oh, what does '80s mean?" He's like, "Oh, is that '80s?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, it's Depeche Mode, it's '80s," So just
Very good. Awesome.
as you said, not many young people know Depeche Mode, so
Oh, okay, good. So that'd be cool for them to get to know it then.
yeah.
So Willow on Disney Plus is recommended. But I don't know if Willow's gonna really win over new fans if you didn't necessarily like the original movie. But I would still recommend checking out Willow on Disney Plus.
Watch the
From what
movie
we
if you
can
haven't
gather,
seen the
yeah.
movie.
Oh, and the original movie, absolutely, yeah. And then from what we can gather from Nathan, yeah, check out the Weird Al biopic on Roku, and then we both highly recommend The Last of Us on HBO
Yes.
Max. Great. So that's pretty much all the talking points I had tonight. Was there anything else you wanted to discuss, or are we good to wrap up?
I just want to say one last thing. It's nice that you are excited for other people to know the music from these shows, because you hear a lot of people like, "Oh, these guys just know it from Stranger Things, or they just know the song from this," and it's like they're like, it's like gatekeeping, like, "Oh,
Mhm.
I've known this band forever," and all these people are just jumping on the bandwagon. They get mad about that. But I'm like, don't you want your favorite band to like get more money and more notoriety, and like maybe they were a band that kind of went under the radar and they never had much success, and like, wouldn't you want them to get that success, type of thing? So
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
uh,
absolutely agree with you on that. I definitely don't want to be kind of one of those like jerk, like hipster kind of guys, like saying, "Oh, but this is my music. I discovered it." Technically, I didn't. I mean, they've been around for decades.
yeah.
So, and everyone's introduced to it at one point or another. In fact, it was my older brother Fernando who first introduced me to Depeche Mode. And then I'm always looking for recommendations from people. In fact, actually, sorry, I'm not rambling on a little too much here, but last year when I did the podcast with my friends talking about Stranger Things, and I made the question to people, "Hey, what song would save you from Vecna if you were caught in its grasp?" And you made the recommendation to me of a band I never heard of.
Song I'd pick is "A Real Hero" from the
That's
movie Drive.
that's the one. Yeah,
Um,
Real Hero. Yeah.
it's by
So
Electric Youth and College. It's like a Electric Youth is one band, and College is a guy. He does a lot of like synth wave, like new wave synth stuff from like
okay.
like modern stuff. It's really
Mhm.
good stuff if you just like synth music. But the movie Drive is like top three favorite movies. I highly recommend that movie if anyone's never seen it. But yeah, it's called A Real Hero by Electric Youth, and yeah, the whole Electric Youth is a great band as well. I think I don't know if they're just dating, but husband and wife or couple duo that do the music. So
Oh yeah, very cool. Yeah, so definitely I discovered that band because of your recommendation, and I loved
cool.
it. I did a little more research about them too, and saw that their album had been produced by Vince Clarke, a notable British producer and also part of the band Erasure, and was actually one of
Oh,
the founding members of Depeche Mode too. So there's that
okay.
tie-in as well. So we're always discovering new things from people and just having an open mind about that and saying, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
let's all share in the awesomeness together." So anybody listening to this podcast, if you decide, hey, I'm going to watch that Willow show because of our conversation, or the Weird Al show, or the Weird Al movie, or the Last of Us, it's awesome and great. I think it's an awesome thing that we get to share what we're passionate about. And if we bring in new fans, awesome. If not, then cool. But I mean, we just kind of just enjoy what we do, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Real quick, Albert, what was your Vecna song?
Oh, my Vecna song that I picked at the time was "Wish You Were Here" by Incubus.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the one that kind of like remind me of, like, family and loved ones, and just remembering that people are there cheering for you, and that oftentimes we're not always with the people we love, but we always wish that they were with us.
Awesome.
So yeah, very cool. Okay, so if there's nothing else for tonight, we'll go ahead and wrap up. But Nathan, thank you for joining me to talk about the entertainment stuff that we love. I think it's just fun and entertaining, and looking forward to the next episode when I can have you on again.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. I'm not a big talker in real life unless someone comes up and talks to me and asks me questions. So, especially talking about, 80, Weird Al's from the 80s, Willow's from the 80s, and, video games, The Last of Us, I could talk for hours about. So it was a pleasure. So, as always.
Awesome. Okay, thanks again, Nathan. So you've been listening to the Casting for Fun podcast. Thanks, everybody.